Hi, welcome to The First Step, a talk show about having the hard conversations. Today I have with me, if you guys want to introduce yourselves.
Hi, I'm Jordyn.
Hi, I'm Felicia.
Alrighty, and we're going to be talking about the LGBTQ plus community today. Before we get started, I'm going to read the promotional statement from the VCIC, which reads, the Virginia Center for Inclusive Communities is an 86-year-old organization that started in Lynchburg, Virginia, as the Virginia region of the National Conference of Christian and Jews in a grassroots effort to address community concerns related to anti-Catholicism, anti-Semitism, and anti-Protestantism? Every episode I stutter on that one. Community members take part in interfaith dialogues across Virginia. Over time, conversations grew to include other aspects of social identities like race, ethnicity, gender, sexual orientation, class, and ability status. Today, VCIC is an independent nonprofit that works with schools, businesses, and communities to achieve success through inclusion. VCIC hosts programs year-round for students, including one-day forums like the Diversity Dialogue Day and the Prejudice Awareness Summit, and a week-long summer retreat called Connections. If you want to find out more, you can follow VCIC on all of their social media, which is Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, which is linked in our link tree in our Instagram bio. So, before we get started, I just want to remind everyone that while Felicia and Jordyn's answers should be taken with respect, they are only individuals within a community, therefore they cannot possibly represent the entire community as a whole. This is the first step. This is encouraging you to have more conversations, so just keep that in mind as we're answering questions today. Alright, you guys ready?
Yep.
Alright. So the first question reads, what do you think about women in the community who say the F slur? I've heard that they can't say it because it's used in a derogatory way towards gay men, but I'm not sure.
Okay, so I think there's a difference between like can you and should you, because obviously there's like I don't want to say time and place, but obviously if you're going to use it in a derogatory way, don't say it, because like again, just because you can say it doesn't really mean you should. I personally don't care if women in the community say the F slur. I personally don't, just because it's not fun having it said at you.
Because it's a slur.
Yeah. But again, time and place, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
I feel the same way. Like, it's obviously a slur, so like you shouldn't say slurs, period. And that just kind of like goes for all slurs. Like, if you're sitting there and you're like, oh, I'm gonna say a slur, like, that's not really cash money of you. But like, I will say that some of my friends and I that are in like the LGBT community, like other of my friends will like say it to each other jokingly, but we're also like really close. So it's like I don't fault people for saying it if they're part of the community, because that's just like something that I don't really care about. But also like if you're saying it in a derogatory way and you're like, oh, blah 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 blah, boom, then I'm like, you know?
Yeah, that makes sense. Alright. And then we have the second question is, how has your relationship with your sexuality changed over time?
You first? Okay. So mine's changed a lot. So
Really? Whoa!
So
I'm gassed.
In like
Elementary school, I obviously thought I was straight, but like maybe I didn't. I don't know. Like, there were times when I would like look at girls in elementary school, and it was one of those things where it was like, oh, do I like them, or do I like them, or do I want to be their friend, or do I want to be them? Like, I don't know. So then middle school rolls around, and I was like, oh, I like a girl. So
Whoa.
then like me and that girl dated for a little while, and then like, yeah, I don't know. And then we got to like high school, and like, I don't know, I'd come out as a lesbian in middle school, and so I was like, yeah, like this is who I am. But like as I've gotten older, I've just kind of realized like sexuality is really fluid. So I don't think that if you come out and you say like, oh, I'm putting one label on it right now, like I think that can change, because like you can change, and like when you're young, like sometimes you don't know everything about yourself. And I'm not saying that like anyone who comes out early, like not like that, but like you can change the label on yourself. It's just a label, it's okay. So like now I don't know, something, I'm not straight.
Queer?
Yeah, I'm queer. Like, since I'm like non-binary and like I don't know. I've dated men, women, I'll date anyone. Like, I don't care. It's just kind of like, it's not about what's in the pants for me, you know? It's like,
Okay.
it's like, are you a good person and do I like you? And then if I do, like, great, let's go on a date together. Like, I don't know. So I just don't believe that you have to put a label if you don't want to. And yeah, that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah, I agree. Like, sexuality is very fluid. I know in middle school, I definitely just picked a guy that I said I had a crush on just because I thought his hair was cool.
Wait, just because you thought his hair was cool?
Yeah, I'm realizing that maybe I just wanted that hair, and that should have been like the first, you're gay. But so, yeah, I mean, it was a process to figure it out. Most of my friends actually knew before I did.
Yeah.
And so when I told them, they were like, Felicia, we've known this since like 6th grade. So that was kind of funny. But yeah, it doesn't really matter what you are. I mean, I do have a preference for women, but at the same time, I don't really like people. So, like, yeah.
A statement.
As long as you're like a good person, then like, okay, cool.
Felicia said gay, straight, nah, I just hate people. She said no. People
Said
suck.
no people at all.
I just no. Okay, so we have for question 3. It says, this could also go with gender too, just LGBTQ plus in general. Do you personally believe that there's a problem with people claiming to be something just for the sake of being in the community? That's a question.
You can go first on that one.
Okay.
I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a prevalent problem. However, I definitely think it's a thing. Like, it's uncomfortable when this has actually happened to me. Like, okay, so I'll tell the story. So when I was in middle school, this kid and I won't like say names or whatever, but this kid and I were in like a yearbook class together, I don't know, or like a scrapbooking class or something, some like stupid class or whatever. And
It was middle school, they were all stupid.
we're taking this course, and the kid tells me, I'll use his pronouns, which is fine, but he tells me, he's like, yeah, I'm gay, like, blah, 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 and he's, like, telling me about, like, these gay experiences that he's had and stuff like that, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, and, like, I'm not the type of person who'd be like, no, like, I'm not gonna deny your experience, you know, like, it's your experience. So, like, we had talked about it, and he knew that I was, a lesbian or gay or whatever, so he was like telling me all this stuff, and we got closer because of it. Like, we became better friends. And then later, this was in like 6th or 7th grade, and then in like 8th grade, like close to the time that we were graduating, he was like, oh,
Graduating middle school?
whatever. Close to the time that we were like leaving middle school, he was like, oh, I actually lied about all of that so that we could become better friends. And he was like, I'm definitely like straight, like I don't like guys. And I was like, so that's so uncomfortable because it invalidates the experience of people who are like not straight or cis. Like, if you have someone who's like I've also experienced people that are like, oh, I'm non-binary, and then they're just like, actually, no, I'm not. And I'm like, and it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, you figure yourself out. It's like, I lied to you so that we could have like a relatable experience. And that's like uncomfortable because like, obviously I'm very femme presenting, so it's like, I actually am this thing, and then you're almost invalidating my experience with this because you want to, be more relatable to me? Like, I can still relate to you even if you're cishet. Like, it doesn't change something, you know? So, I don't know. It's uncomfortable to me. I don't prefer it. Like, just become friends somehow else. Like, my entire personality is not being, like, this one thing, you know? It's like, I like TV shows and books and movies and, like, music and stuff. So, like, get to know me for me and not because, like, I don't identify as a certain gender or something. So, that's, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like, if people are just gonna say, oh, I'm gay, oh, I'm non-binary, but then be like, just kidding. That's, like, really uncomfortable. Feels kind of gross because people who do actually come out, like, that's a really hard experience. Like, even if you're coming out to people who, like, you know, love and care about you and, like, would not care either way, that's still, like, tough because you're admitting it not only to yourself but to other people. And then if someone does that just for fun,
Just
it's
for
like,
dicks.
yeah, it's like, okay, that was really hard for me to do and, like, probably really stressful, and you didn't know how it was going to turn out, and you're just kind of doing it for fun, so that's, like, not very cash money.
And there's definitely a difference between, like, figuring yourself out and coming out in a fake way. Like, I just want to say that. Like, I don't want people to be watching this and be like, man, I thought I was gay back then, and, like, now maybe I'm pan, but, like, I don't know. But, like, there's, like, a big difference between someone, like, genuinely being a part of the community and just, like, trying to discover themselves, and someone, like, LOL, I'm gay. And then, like, 2 days later, they're like, no, I'm not. And it's like, oh, okay.
I just like, what if I understand why, like, if you're not like any of these things,
Yeah.
is the community's not for you.
Yeah.
It's not for you.
And, like, that's okay. Like, you can still be a strong ally without being part of the community. Like, you don't have to be gay to be part of the community. Like, allies are still with us. So it's like, you can support us, you just don't have to, like, you don't have to be LGBT to be, like, part of a community. I mean, technically, well,
Oh my god.
You're doing great. You're doing great,
You
sweetie.
get what I mean.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, yeah. I just don't understand why people do the things that they do.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, question 4. Wow, words. Doing great. Obviously, you've come to your gender/sexuality at this point, but how was that journey to learn and accept that? Whoa. I'm reading this directly off the page. But how was the journey to learn and accept that about yourselves?
I mean,
I can read.
mine was okay.
like, I got lucky. I grew up in a family that's, like, fairly accepting and stuff. Like, I was never really concerned that, like, well, I mean, everyone's concerned that your family will, like, reject you, even if you come from, like, a loving family. But, like, it wasn't something where I was like, oh, like, they're gonna kick me out of the house. So I got really lucky in that aspect. But
It was like scary, you know, like kissing a girl for the first time is like, that's scary, bro. I mean, kissing anyone for the first time is scary, but like, I don't know, when it's someone the same gender as you and you've like grown up all your life.
Keep going, you're doing great.
Oh my god.
but when you've, like, grown up all your life, like, in a heteronormative environment, and you're, like, with a girl, like,
This is on camera.
You can
No, that's not gonna cut out. That is being left in for your enjoyment.
But like,
when you're, like, kissing a girl and you're in this heteronormative environment, like, it's scary, bro. And, like, the whole thing with my gender, like, after I came out to my parents, like, my parents know that I'm not straight or whatever, but
Sure, I'm so.
with the whole gender thing, it's really different. Like, I think I've come out to them, like, 4 or 5 times when it comes to my gender. And not, like, my gender changing, but it's like, I'll make a statement and I'll be like, oh yeah, like, I'm non-binary, and they're like, you're what? And then, like, 2 weeks later, I'll be like, yeah, I'm non-binary, and they're like, you're what? And I'm like, come on, do you not remember our last conversation? So, I don't know, I mean, like, when I first came out as, like, a different sexuality, that was scary. But then, like, with my gender, like, and maybe it's just because, like, I've gotten older and I'm more confident in who I am, but it's like, I don't really care if my parents are like, you're not that. Like, okay, what you gonna do?
What you gonna do about it? Give me a gender?
Right? Like, it doesn't work like that. So, I don't know. The whole gender thing doesn't really faze me, but, like, the sexuality thing can be kind of wild.
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't super care how other people perceive me. Like, that's my business, not yours. But I think it was harder for me to admit it to myself than to everyone else because, like I said, my friends already knew. My sisters already knew, which was really funny. But yeah, so harder to admit it to myself, and I was just like, here, have this. It's like, okay, cool.
There's a term for this. Internalized homophobia.
Yeah.
Going through it, man.
Again, the super heteronormative society, like, I made up that I had a crush on a guy, which was just because I liked how his hair looked. It looked really fluffy.
Fluffy hair, man.
But so, like, I would do that just so that when my friends were talking about, ooh, you have a crush on blah, 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 I would have something to say instead of being like, I don't know, guys are weird. Gross. But so, yeah. I'm good with who I am now. Like, yeah.
It's an experience. It's a journey.
It is.
There's a lot of panic. There's like
It's
gay
a
panic.
roller coaster.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so we have the next question. Ooh, okay. So it's what's your relationship with religion? Does that differ from your relationship with religious people?
Do you want to go first? Sure. Okay.
Religion.
So I didn't grow up super religious. Like, we went to church on Christmas, Easter, and then whenever my grandmother was in town.
Shout out to Grandma. Thank you.
So I don't have a super strong relationship with like religion, and it's kind of like, it's not a huge part of my life, and like it's kind of gross and weird to think about what other people in the religious community have done, like just because. So it's like, do I really want to be a part of that? But all the religious people I know are like pretty chill, so it doesn't super affect me. Yeah, I shot Grace.
Whoa.
Thumbs up approval.
Personally, I grew up sort of religious. Like, we went to church every Sunday when I lived in Georgia, but
You lived in Georgia, so.
yeah, like, we didn't really do that in Virginia because, like, we didn't have, like, a church that we went to or whatever. And then, like, as I got older, like, I started exploring myself religiously because, like, I didn't necessarily believe in, like, God or whatever. So, I don't know, like, religion, I don't know. Anyway, right now, I'm pagan. I'm a modern pagan. So, basically, I'm a witch. But not, like, a Harry Potter witch, but, like, I don't know. If you want to know more, just look up, like, Wiccan.
WICCA.
It's a little
And,
plug.
yeah.
We'll have an episode on this later,
That's
promise.
what I am.
And it, like, it's basically, like, it's modern paganism. So, like, I don't really have an issue with, like, my sexuality or my gender and religion because, like, who cares? Like, they don't really care. But, like, also I have really close friends who are, like, extremely religious. And, like, if, like, I wouldn't be close to them if they didn't accept me, you know? Like, if someone was like, LOL, I hate the gays. Like, why would I be friends with you? Like, you know, so I've never really had, well, I mean, yeah, people have, like, said slurs and stuff to me, like, religious people, which is, like, gross, but then, like, I'm not around them all the time, so it's like, who cares? I don't know. Like, religious people, mind your business. It's not like we're being gay all up in your face.
It's just, that was a statement. I adore that. Also, the statement religious people calling us slurs. It should be an oxymoron.
I mean, it's true though.
But it is. It's true.
It's sad, but whatever.
Let's do better. Stop calling people slurs.
like anyone. Just
Yeah,
like,
let's slurs. Let's stop.
remove slurs from our vocabulary. Period. Like,
Yeah, I mean, it's not that hard.
yeah,
Just
like,
don't call them
just
this.
don't be an asshole. Like,
Literally.
wow, that's crazy. A revolutionary idea.
And yet we're still struggling.
Yeah.
Okay, so number 6 is what's the difference between gender and sex? I've heard that there's a difference, but how does that work exactly? And what does femme/mask presenting mean?
Oh.
Go forward with this. Okay.
I just
So-
have to do this.
I'll keep this as short as I possibly can. So sex is biological. It's chromosomes, organs, etc. However, there are more than 2 sexes. Like, biologically, there are more than 2. Because we see people that are intersex, which means that they have either, like, both X and Y chromosomes at, like, high hormonal levels that would make them, like, both sexes, or they have both, like, sex-related organs in their body. So, like, biologically, there are more than 2 sexes. I don't know exactly how many. I think, like, at least 3, basically. But that's sex. Gender, on the other hand, is all of the social stuff. So, like, the correct terms for sex would be, like, female, male, intersex, and then, like, whatever else. But it's, like, all very scientific, very, like, biological, like, chromosomes, organs, whatever. Gender is like boy, girl, woman, man, whatever. All of that is gender. And that's basically like the societal way that we look at certain sexes. So when we think of a female, we think of woman. And then when we think of woman, we think of pink, Barbie dolls, cooking, like that kind of stuff. I know.
Women in the kitchen.
I have to make these statements to like get it across, right? So then when we think of male, we think of man, and we think of monster trucks and cars and blue and like all of that kind of stuff.
The differentiation between the genders is what's getting me mad.
I'm just like, you know how it has to go. So that's gender, is the societal construct. Sex is biological. So then, like, femme and masc, femme is just like you look more feminine, like you look more woman-like as we perceive a, like, societal woman. Masc is you look more man-like as we perceive a societal man. So I'm non-binary. I'm, like, my biological sex is female. I'm femme-presenting. So I don't have a societal gender. I present as a woman, and my biological sex is female.
That was very thorough.
Yeah, but that was like, well, thank you for coming to Jordyn's TED Talk. That was it. I don't even.
I mean, like, you, like, as someone who is, like, very, like, gender stuff, you know.
Gender
like,
stuff. I'm sorry. As someone who's very gender stuff.
It's gender time!
We don't have one!
Yeah,
Gender, what's that?
the viewers who know it will know it. Anyway, but yeah, I don't know, like, I just, like, know my stuff on that, I guess.
Cash money. Felicia, any points, or was that? I feel like that was pretty comprehensive.
That was, yeah, I actually didn't know that much, and I had to ask Lane about it today.
Learning experiences. See, we can all learn.
Yeah.
Alright, so the last question is, what is the best way that a person not in the LGBTQ plus community can show support and solidarity with you?
Sure. I think, yeah, first of all, don't say slurs. Not that hard. And then I guess just like being open to listen to like our experiences and not trying to like add in to stuff you don't know about. And also just like be willing to learn, and at the same time be willing to unlearn things that have been like systematically shoved on you. Like everything that society says is not always correct, and actually most of the time isn't correct. But yeah, just be like willing to learn and listen. And don't say slurs.
Yeah.
Don't say slurs, guys. Guys, come on.
Yeah.
Don't say slurs. Say it with me.
It's not
Don't
hard.
say slurs.
Just like, if someone like comes to you and they're like, oh, hey, like I'm part of the LGBT community, just like love people. Like, people are gonna be who they are, and if you know that you're gonna become a toxic person in that person's life, then remove yourself. Like, everyone wants to live the best life that they possibly can, so why make someone's life a living hell just because you don't believe that they should live the way that they are? Like, just love each other. Like, just love and support each other, that's it. And don't say slurs.
The bare minimum, y'all.
Yeah.
The bare minimum.
Don't say slurs. Don't say slurs, and just like love and support each other.
Maybe that instead of being like this, someone has to take the first step. So why
Just
not you?
don't say slurs.
Yeah, screw that. That tagline, God, don't say slurs. That's the
say
new
slurs.
tagline, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's easy. Just like,
Don't say it.
yeah.
Okay. please.
You can do it. I believe in you.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. This is an enjoyable experience. It was an event.
Yeah.
What is it? Alrighty, so I believe that the next episode we have is episode 6, which is going to be on women, actually specifically, if we're going to specify, cisgendered women. Did I get it right?
Yeah.
Woo. But yeah, so it'll be on women. I look forward to that episode as much. I really enjoyed this one. But yeah, that's all I've got for today. Remember to be kind to each other, and we're out.
And don't say slurs.
And don't say slurs.
And don't say slurs.